he wasn't working. He wasn't letting me work. Very uncomfortable opponent for me.
The winner, Ankalaev.
On Saturday, October 26, 2024, in a highly anticipated fight, Ankalaev extended his unbeaten streak to 13 fights with a dominant unanimous decision win over Aleksander Rakic at UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi. But calling it a match was a little bit of an overstretch, as it seemed more like a competition of who can avoid the other better. The fight. At the start of the match, Ankalaev and Aleksander Rakic were in a heavy kicking game, setting an aggressive tone for the fight. Ankalaev dominated heavily in the first round. He landed a strong body kick early. However, Rakic countered with a sharp leg kick after catching it. But here's where it got interesting. Rakic seemed more interested in running a marathon than putting up a fight. Rakic constantly relied on his movement and leg kicks to avoid Ankalaev's pressure. With all that footwork, he could have passed an audition for Dancing with the Stars. As the round progressed, Ankalaev managed to land a solid win in the round. In the second round, Ankalaev came out with more creativity, attempting an unorthodox back elbow that narrowly missed. Meanwhile, Rakic, still with his defensive techniques, made Ankalaev chase him around the octagon. Was the technique effective? Maybe. But did everyone enjoy watching it? Absolutely no. Jerry put up a better fight against Tom than Rakic. As Ankalaev got more creative, mixing his punches, it left Rakic struggling to find an opening. A brief clinch exchange at the fence didn't yield much action, but Ankalaev closed the round strong. By the third round, the ball seemed to be in Ankalaev's court. He opened with the lead left and continued landing sniping straight punches that kept Rakic on the defensive. The body kicks of Ankalaev dominated the third round of the fight, whereas Rakic was never able to mount a serious counterattack. When the scores were read, all three judges gave Ankalaev the unanimous decision, 29-28.
Cards for decision. All three judges scored this contest 29-28 for the winner by unanimous decision, Ankalaev.
Reflecting on the fight, Ankalaev expressed frustration with Rakic's evasiveness. He then requested a shot to fight with Alex Pereira. Who was the winner? The fight ended with Ankalaev winning with a unanimous decision with all three judges, scoring the bout 29-28 in his favor. But calling it a fight might be up for debate. While there's no doubt that Ankalaev displayed superior techniques, the lack of counterattacks and Rakic's heavy reliance on defensive tactics left little room for back-and-forth exchanges fans hoped to see. It was more like watching someone dodge a bullet in slow motion. Rakic seemed focused on staying elusive, relying on movement and distant kicks to keep Ankalaev at bay. While Rakic had moments of success, such as a solid body kick and a few well-timed counters, he struggled to match Ankalaev's creativity and ability to adapt. Ankalaev's frustrations were evident after the fight, as he called out Rakic's unwillingness to engage and questioned his strategy. Ankalaev says he kept on running after Rakic, but he couldn't catch him. He says he couldn't understand Rakic's strategy. He wasn't working. He wasn't letting me work. Very uncomfortable opponent for me.
I didn't understand his striking at all. I mean, he wasn't working. He wasn't letting me work. Very uncomfortable opponent for me.
While Ankalaev said that Rakic's unwillingness didn't give him an opportunity to put up a good fight, criticism wasn't solely at Rakic. Many fans felt that Ankalaev's techniques had little creativity and that he could have pushed harder to force a finish or create more action, especially given his reputation as a rising star in the division. Despite the criticism, Ankalaev did what he had to do to win the fight and emerged as the clear victor. His victory extended his unbeaten streak to 13 fights, making him a leading name on his way to claiming a title shot. He urged Alex Pereira to face him, but only after calling him a chicken for not going up against him.
I think I done everything to deserve the next title shot. I'd like to talk to Alex. I'd like to tell him, hey, stop running away from me. We should fight. That's what everybody wants to see.
For Ankalaev, the victory at UFC 308 is a critical win. This win takes him a step further for a title shot, which he's been after for quite some time now, yet he remains on the outside looking in, like the guy who forgot his VIP pass. Prior to this match, Khalil Roundtree, who suffered a loss to Alex Pereira in a recent title bout, was awarded that opportunity over Ankalaev, including Ankalaev himself puzzled. At the UFC 308 press conference, Ankalaev didn't hold back, expressing his disappointment. He believes that the UFC is protecting Pereira by placing Rakic in his way. He said, "We know that Rakic is a great fighter. I think the only reason the UFC put him in front of me is to defend their champion."
You know, I'm not sure why the UFC is doing it. I mean, I think they're protecting him. We know that he's an exciting fighter. We know that he fights in the stand-up. He's a great striker. So I think that they're just saving and protecting him.
His reaction to the win shows his confidence and determination to claim the title shot he feels he has earned. Many fans and peers have spoken out in favor of Ankalaev, agreeing that he is the rightful contender for the light heavyweight title. Ali Abdelaziz, Ankalaev's manager, believes that the UFC is just trying to delay the inevitable. That is, Ankalaev claiming the title. Abdelaziz has branded Ankalaev as the world's top light heavyweight fighter for many years now, and he's not shy about it. Abdelaziz has also predicted that the long-awaited showdown between Ankalaev and Pereira would finally take place in 2025, with Ankalaev coming out on top, which we know did not happen, and his fans seem to think Ankalaev was robbed of the opportunity. Undoubtedly, Pereira has made a name for himself in his brief UFC career, but it's believed by many that Ankalaev's combination of striking and wrestling is too much for him to handle. But it was the decision to grant Khalil Roundtree that title shot over Ankalaev that really raised some eyebrows. Picking the 8th-ranked fighter Khalil instead of the 2nd-ranked fighter Ankalaev puzzled many fans and analysts. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing for more UFC videos. Many fans and experts have pointed out there might have been other reasons for opting for Khalil instead of Ankalaev. Many have suggested that, like many other industries, the sports industry is also heavily business-oriented, and sometimes it just comes down to marketing and promotion rather than rankings, because the shiny car might sell better, even if the other one is the smarter choice. Former UFC fighter Scott Askham weighed in on the discussion, explaining how the decision of the UFC could relate more to marketing and promotion instead of ranking. He suggested that perhaps UFC wanted to cash in on the hype around Pereira's rise to the top, and Roundtree, despite not being the top-ranked contender, may have been seen as a more marketable option. When it was announced that Khalil would be facing off with the defending champion, Pereira, amidst all the speculation, said he had a theory about why Ankalaev wasn't selected. Alex Pereira appeared on the Ariel Helwani show and expressed his belief that the UFC finds Magomed Ankalaev to be far too boring for the UFC title shot. Ouch. He said,
him and his manager been talking a lot of crap, saying that Alex don't want to fight this and that, but the reality is the organization don't want him to fight because he's boring. People don't like to watch him fight, right? He's not the guy that sells pay-per-view.
Keeping in mind all these comments, this match could have been a huge opportunity for Ankalaev to prove himself as a star, not just in terms of merit, but also proven himself to be a highly marketable option, especially considering that Dana White has said that if Ankalaev won against Rakic in an impressive way, he'd get his title shot. Unfortunately, to the disappointment of many, Ankalaev failed to do so. Was Ankalaev's win impressive? Yes. Was it exciting? Not so much. Fans believe that while he may have won the match, he did not display the skill and technique to put him for a title shot. Fans are left wondering whether Ankalaev can adjust his approach and develop the kind of marketability the UFC's looking for, because while his skills are evident, it's clear that being a top fighter isn't enough if you're not also a big draw. Whether it was the lack of enthusiasm from the opponent that made Ankalaev's game less action-packed, or whether it was his intent is not clear, but undeniably, his win against Rakic itself is a great achievement, more so with the fact that he's remained unbeaten for the last 13 fights since his debut. While Ankalaev remains undefeated, his road to the title is anything but clear. It seemed like the match was between UFC and Magomed, not against Rakic. Who do you think was the winner here? Is Ankalaev going to get a title shot this year? Or is the UFC just waiting for him to show a little more wow factor? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Here's a similar video which you might like. Until soon.